welcome back to this install series for the Hednesford Town Football Net Zero project. Now, we're loving filming this, even though, as you saw in the first episode, we're already £15,000 down on this project.
Right, 6 grand, yeah. 4 grand, or 4 grand, and then a grand spare. What are you laughing at?
Thanks to my stupidity.
Hard times come.
And there's a whole lot more to come from this project.
Oh, not the van, no, get out of here, you can't record this bit.
Liam, don't film yet because I've f***ed it up as usual.
In the last video, it was all about this, the mounting system. When we arrived at site, we had to work out where everything was going to go. It was a brand new fixing system we'd never used before, and we had some issues, but we're working through them and we do have some solutions. Today, it's all about this brand new battery, this Alpha H50. It's the first one in Europe, the first one to be installed by us. So we're a bit nervous, but we're excited. Let's take you through the install. So what actually is this project? Well, it's 227 panels plus this massive 100 kilowatt hour H50 Alpha battery.
Oh my God, it's huge.
Now importantly, this is part of an enormous project of regeneration by the new club's owners. They're pumping thousands and thousands and thousands into the club to make it a better place, and they're also taking it net zero.
So we're here at 8 o'clock, crack of 8, and nobody's here. One truck. Is this anyone, you know?
After all of that drama on day one, day two was our chance for a fresh start. But like everything on this project, nothing goes to plan.
Okay, so this is actually getting weird now. It's 9:30 and the calls aren't going through, so they might have been in a horrible automobile accident, and this might be a very sad ending to a video, so just gotta wait and see.
So whilst we were all presumed dead, the logistics company arrived with the battery and those 227 REA Fusion panels. Now luckily, shortly after, the cavalry arrived and the installers could get back on with this install.
We're gonna have to move them over if they're just up against that fence. Put them against the scaffolding. You don't want a fence from the sounds of things, and if it's on one of them fences, that ain't. No, it's like up against the yeah, so it's right.
So let's talk about the choice of panels that we're using here. Now these are the standard REA Fusion 2s that we use on all of our domestic projects. They're a 450 watt bifacial HJT panel. Now these are super high performance and very premium, but they were actually specifically requested by this client who is a subscriber to this Heatable YouTube channel. So we're installing 227 of these, which totals about 102 kilowatts, and we're expecting great things on this light grey roof, because as you can see here, between all the cells on the panels, we've got this like clear back sheet that allows light through, powers that back side of the panel, and gives you even more power.
I am cutting the cross sections in for the DC cables. You know what? I can't wait for the comments to say, "That's a cutting disc." Yes, I know. Grow up. Does it work? Yes.
Galvanised spray. What does that do?
Stops me going rusty. I actually think it's zinc spray. Zinc spray? Spray galvanisation.
Due to the height of the scaffolding here, it wasn't really practical to carry the panels up one by one, so we took the decision to get a scissor lift, and as you can see, it's being skillfully operated by Jonty.
Hiding in the shadows of the world so mean, a forgotten soul, living in a world so cold, a silent scream from a story untold.
Right, things are now back on track, so Jonty and the team are cracking on laying all of those 227 panels.
Master measurer, who's got tape? Anyone who's got tape with them? Hey, master measurer, cheers Josh.
Jack is installing the tray work on the roof to carry those DC cables.
Jonty. Oh, that sexual.
Honestly, that turned me on more than any woman has recently. That was good work, one.
Well, that's not going in the video, is it?
Don't tell that to anyone you remember.
Now this did take a little longer than we were expecting because we were constantly double checking, we were measuring, because like we said before, it wasn't us that laid the brackets and we've never actually installed this system before. So we just wanted to make sure it was absolutely spot on.
We are just deciphering whether the panels and the mini rails are in the correct positions for the panel layouts that we're working to. These middle panels are about 100mm higher than the edges, so we need to make it look uniform.
Now unfortunately, Jack is right, he's found an issue with the panels. Turns out to be a much bigger issue later on, but we'll get to that when we get to it. So whilst the guys were getting on with those panels, I wanted to get to grips with how we were going to connect this powerhouse system to the actual football club. Right, sit rep in the plant room. So this is the original switchboard that was in obviously before we got here. This board here is supplying some new sort of like demountable units they've got for a gift shop. And obviously we now need a supply for our Alpha battery, we need a supply for our Solace inverter, and there's no space on any of this stuff here. All this is totally full. So we've got nowhere to go. So what we've done, we've put this Proteus board in here. So these are pretty cool because it's got all your main connections and it's also a board up there as well, and it's rated at 100 amp because those smaller, originally we were going to put like a smaller domestic style 3-phase board in because we only need 4 breakers for these bad boys, but we're 100 amp, so we can't do that. So we've gone for this Proteus all-in-one unit, which to be honest is pretty cool. The only thing that was a bit of a nightmare was this was in the way. This is the BBC power when they come and televise some of the games, and also we also had to move all of this intruder alarm because this was all in the way. But anyway, I'm just moaning. We've done it now, it's all sorted, looks great. Next thing to do is from the bottom of this board we need to get our main supply cable out to the inverter.
Happy days? You enjoying yourself? Being a cameraman, I feel quite good. I had a Mountain Dew, I had a Snickers Duo, frozen Fanta, frozen Coca-Cola, and now, brand deal, Red Bull.
Whilst I nipped out to secure some supplies for that Proteus fuse board, Jack got on with unboxing this massive battery. Now I'm gutted I missed this because I've never seen one before, and he got all the fun.
ASMR. How to open a box.
There's an Alpha right in there, Alpha logo.
We absolutely did not budget for a forklift on this job, but we had another plan.
Yeah, that one. That's the one. Oh! Whoa!
Man down.
Go on, go for it a bit more. You what then, mate? Gets off one thing.
How are you getting on,
man?
man?
What do I do? Get it on that? Please move that fence. Pull this over. Well, that was easy, wasn't it?
So after lots of blood, sweat and tears, we finally get this battery into position. That was a nightmare and a lot harder than we initially anticipated. So with the battery finally in place, it's now time to start loading it up with those Alpha ESS cells. Now these things weigh an absolute ton. It's a bit tricky at the start because you need to get it into the buzz bar, but they find their flow eventually. But not without lots of graft and nearly dropping one of those Alpha cells.
Honestly, one hand. Look like what goes in my burger. Big old tomato face. Fantastic.
So getting all of those cells into the actual H50 enclosure, getting them wired up, making sure they were seated properly on that buzz bar was tedious, but eventually we got there. And now it's time to move on to installing this PCS hybrid inverter. Now, this didn't start well because we didn't even know which way the bracket went round.
Do you reckon? I think it's the way.
Then we had to consult the manual.
Yes!
Once we've been through the manual, we then knew which way it was, and that was the easiest part of this inverter install.
Ready?
Now this inverter is 50 kilowatts and it weighs an absolute ton. It's also super slippy and has got nowhere to grab it. It's time to call in the cavalry to give me a lift getting it onto the side of that battery.
Across, down, across.
To me. That's it. That's it. That's it.
Yeah.
There you go. It's easy.
Well done, lads. I could have done that.
So with the inverter mounted, we can now start cracking on with the wiring. So the first things to go on are the DC battery cables, and then it's time to work on the comms kit.
Right, so COM 13, COM 14.
Now, this did take me about 5 attempts because I basically refused to use the manual.
Liam, don't film yet. I don't start editing yet because I've f***ed it up as usual. So I've got to take it all out like a twat.
But I did eventually get it right.
Yeah, I have, yeah.
So with that inverter done, it's now time to move on to the Solace, but not before we realised yet another boo-boo with this battery.
Right, problem. So, we need to get a battery cable, like I said, from that inverter to here. And we're like, oh, we can't find the cables anywhere. Where are the cables? So I took this off just to see behind. I don't know if you can see, but those cables dropped behind there. And we were like, oh, well, where were they? Because we can't get in there. We realised something really bad, which is this battery has a door on the back, which, if I can open it, you can just see there's a cavity behind there, but we can't open the bloody door. No!
Probably should have read the manual. We now need to move this battery loaded with all of those cells.
Yeah, I'll get that.
Yeah, piece of strutter.
Yeah, use that tray.
Before it fitted nice and now it doesn't fit nice.
Thanks for the observation.
I'm just pointing out for everyone at home.
Right, now that's done, we don't want to look at this battery ever again. It's time to crack on with something different that's just not alpha. This Solis 30 kilowatt three-phase PV only inverter. This was straightforward. It's a bracket on the wall, make sure it's level, fix it, drop the inverter on, and then it's ready to be wired. Only if the alpha was that simple. So we're making progress. Now, let's do a proper review of this H50.
Right, everything is going well, and we wanted to just take this spare time we had to run you through everything you need to know about this Alpha H50. So like I've already said, it's the first one that's ever been installed in Europe. But what is a H50? Well, it is a commercial / light industrial battery storage device with an integrated hybrid inverter, because this can take up to 75 kilowatts of solar PV straight into that inverter on the side, and it stores it here in this battery pack. Now what it can also do is convert that PV from DC to AC to supply this football stadium or your factory, your offices, wherever you're going to fit one of these units. So this version is the IP rated version, meaning it can go outside, it doesn't need to be in an enclosure, it can get wet, and it's not going to damage the actual unit itself. Everything is waterproofed on the external of this product. Even this little display cabinet in here, as we open it, it's got a little rubber seal, and that is our screen that's going to give us all the information we need to know about what's going on with the solar, what's going on with the property, what's going on with the grid, how the state of charge of the battery, the discharge rate, and the power of the unit. So that's a really little handy device, and it is weatherproof. Also externally, we've got some quick indicators here. So you've got power, run, and if we've got any faults, we'll get a warning light on there, and we've got an EPO. I don't know if that means emergency power off, but essentially press that and the whole unit shuts down. So if you've got any issues, maybe you've got any problems with the unit, you just want to rapid shut it down, you just hit that emergency switch there.
Isn't that a bit of a security issue, just having like a massive shutdown switch on the front of the...
Well, this is going to be in a building, but someone, I mean, it's not really security, because if it shuts down, it's not going to shut down the building. All it's going to do is shut off this battery unit. So if someone's a thug, they can press it if they want. A little grill at the top, and that's because this is a temperature controlled battery system, and it's not using fans to sort of blow hot air out. It's actually got air conditioning inside the unit. Speaking of the inside, let's take a look. So, Liam, you can lock it as well. If you're worried about people playing around with your H50, everything is secure on the internals. We lift that, and this is the inside of the battery. So the internals of the unit is split left and right, and that's because on the left hand side we've got all of the DC battery storage. So this has 12 8 kilowatt hour units, modules. Each module is also cooled by a fan, so that's what's going to draw air around the cells and keep them nice and cool. You've got a BMS lead linking every single one, and on the end one we've got a little resistor, and that tells it it's the end of line. Not only are they temperature regulating the actual battery internals via that air conditioning unit, but they've also got a pyrotechnic extinguisher system. So if it detects a fault, this ignites and extinguishes any potential fires, and that's why it's all separate in the unit. Now on this side of the unit we've got all of the controllers. We've got the BMS unit, so that's the unit that's doing all the brains of the battery, that's managing all of the power flow, the charge and the discharge. From factory, this is a fully built unit, so we had a little bit of wiring, some assembly to do, but it's not overly complicated. Everything from factory, including all of the comms, all of the wiring, all of the breakers is pre-terminated. Now all our breakers are pre-assembled, like I said, but they're also pre-labeled for us. So we've got our surge protection, we've got our incoming line for AC, we've got our system cabinet AC, we've got expansion packs. So if you do expand the storage, it actually comes with a breaker pre-wired in for that. BPU power supply, I don't know what that is. And we've also got a system power supply as well, so that's the controller side of the actual unit. Moving up into this section here, this is where we get into sort of the BMS and the comms, and you've got all your PV controllers, You've got, if you have third-party or alpha EV chargers, you can wire them straight into this unit here, and you've got your main breaker to isolate and turn on the actual battery system. What's also cool about this is they give you a little work light. So if you're working on this, maybe you're servicing it, they've even thought of that by putting this LED light in that lights up the actual cabinet. And you've got some reference folders here to sort of quick start manuals. You've got a power up and power down guide on the inside. And this is the real difference, that when you're buying a commercial battery or an industrial battery, there are options when you can go sort of big with domestic batteries. You can have lots of domestic systems added together to give you lots of power. This really is a different solution. This is a purpose-built industrial battery or a commercial solution. So if you've got an office, maybe you've got a production line, you've got a football stadium, and you want a purpose-built commercial battery, and these are pretty much untouchable. And from a price point perspective, they're not as expensive as you would think, especially when they have built-in PV hybrid inverters. I'm going to show you that now on the side. So this is the solar PV hybrid inverter. Now this is rated at 50 kilowatts, but like I said before, it can accept up to 150% of PV. So it can actually have 75 kilowatts of PV wired to this via these 4 strings. Now each one of these strings has 2 MPPTs, so you can technically have 8 sets of panels going in to this inverter. You've then got an AC connection, that's what's going to link you to the grid. You've also got backup, so if you want to back up the building up to 50 kilowatt, or you want to back up some critical loads, you can do that via this backup outlet. We've got our DC connections from our batteries, that's what's linking the inverter. When that PV energy comes off the roof, it'll travel straight through the inverter into these DC cables and go straight into our battery cells. What we can also do with the battery is charge it at night. So this stadium has a dual tariff. They have an off-peak rate and a peak rate. What they're going to do is use the Alpha Cloud software and charge this battery up at night, taking advantage of that cheaper energy. And they've got the solar in the day, topping it up as they use it. They were down there. So I'm convinced. I remember seeing them and thinking, we should. Well, I remember thinking that's going to go wrong.
Have a look and see if the battery key is in the vape compartment.
So what's happened then? We've locked ourselves out.
That's pretty cool though, on a...
Yep, that's less relevant right now. It's a proper key that, mate. You ain't gonna...
No, Sophie shut the door on the battery and potentially might have locked the keys in.
You need more keys? Go on. So Jack stepping in there, saving the day, exposing his past as a true Northampton boy. Oh my God. As the days go by, we're getting more and more panels on that roof. We keep going up and we're checking, but the end of the job is getting near and we need to put some extra boots on the ground, or on the roof rather, to get these panels installed.
You're thinking to peel out and lay as we go, aren't you? Yeah, let's just do something.
So we bring in the big guns and the whole team crack on finishing that array. Now, earlier on, Jack brought to our attention there might be an issue with this roof.
These middle panels are about 100mm higher.
Now, I thought I'd sorted this on the first day and the roofers had it absolutely sorted. They were covered, there was no problems. It's great, it's all worked out. Turns out, I was wrong.
Oh, here we go.
How are you, Mr. Price? You are currently on camera.
It's not their fault.
Okay.
It's the K2 plan's wrong.
Really?
I just checked it there and it's got a drift on the K2 plan on measurement.
Now, to fix this issue, we've got two choices. We either take the brackets out that are in the wrong place and refix them in the right place, but then we've got holes in a brand new roof, or we just add more brackets. Now, when I say it was out, it wasn't out by miles, it was just gonna send that array looking a bit squiff.
Draw me like one of your French girls.
So we took the latter option, we bought more brackets, more cost, more loss, but hey, you've got to get a job right, and we install them in the right place. Now, before we realised there was an issue with the design, I'd been pretty vocal with these roofers, blaming them for these brackets being in the wrong place. So I took the opportunity once I realised it was my mistake to get on the roof, have a meeting, apologise, and I took my punishment like a man.
Right, okay, so over half of the panels are now on the roof. All of the tray work is done, so the tray is what carries the DC cables. They're not just flying around on the roof, they're in containment. They run like a spider web off the roof and down to that alpha. Now, we're hopeful the panels are going to get done today, but obviously these winter days and these sort of short hours limit the amount of time that we can be here, and the club has a game tonight, so we need to be gone for about 4:30. It'll probably be dark then anyway. So we're going to leave them to it. We're not going to disturb them.
So after a few days of stress and all these problems, we're finally getting this job back on track. Now, time's against us here. We've got a deadline to complete this project, and tonight the team have got a game, so we can't stay late, but we have got to get this job finished pronto.
Getting all the panels off? Yeah. What time do you say we've got to be out of here?
4:30.
Oh, I mean, if you don't want to carry on cracking the panels on, well, I mean, no. If we have to leave by 4:30, yeah, no. Earlier side of Monday, so yeah, panels on, everything on the roof. First half of Monday.
What we need to do in a bit is go and check the last bracket and make sure we're definitely happy.
Just make sure we're not walking in blind on Monday, essentially,
Yeah.
so we know exactly what we've got to come to and what we can actually do.
Yeah. God, it's cold.
So the job is now coming to the end. We've got the tray working, we've got the AC side done, inverters are on, that battery's in. The next thing to do now is get it commissioned. We're going to use the manufacturer to commission the system because it's brand new, it's complex, and it just sort of makes sense. Now you're going to see all of this in the next episode, the finale of this Hednesford Town PV battery, massive commercial project. We'll see you on that one.